today with another session of Orphaned Honor. But before we get into the recap, we're going to spend just a few minutes and talk about what things and numbers we'd like to set for the next level up using our XP tracking system. I kind of, I got Don and Quinn talking about this before you guys showed up, so they have at least a bit of a better idea of what they're looking at. But since all four of you are now here, now is a good opportunity to figure out what the next level up should look like, given everything that's going on in the narrative, and maybe imagining how quickly you like to hit 6, or not quickly to hit 6 words.
Good.
No, go for it. Anyone.
I posted my suggestion in the game chat, kind of taking this level a bit slower than the last one, with 5 goals, 4 discoveries, 4 bonds, and 2 setbacks.
I am also in agreement with this.
I'm fine with this. I'd say maybe either one less in discoveries or bond, but that's just me. It's interchangeable which one, but
I'd be fine with going down 1 for discoveries, because it feels like we tend to not focus on side stuff quite as much.
Not yet, at least, and it seems like we're kind of at a point where things are it's gonna be kind of hard to get to side stuff for a little bit, just because of where the plot seems to be going with these hags and whatnot.
But I disagree a little bit, just because we have a sense of urgency and everything doesn't mean there isn't the ability to get things done on the side. Sure, we haven't really touched on any of that stuff here, but the point of getting discoveries is learning things about the world and the things that are going on in it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think putting discoveries at 4 kind of incentivizes us to pay attention to that more.
Yeah. Honestly, I was gonna say, if you guys wanted to veto me, I'm fine with how what Quinn suggested and all that. It's not gonna bother me if we didn't go down on our number or anything. Ugh, sorry.
Not only do I veto you, I sentence you to 5 years in the clown dungeon.
No!
Oof, that's harsh.
They won't stop honking their noses at me.
It kind of is a discovery that we've now invented the clown dungeon.
No.
So it kind of a setback.
Yes.
Mark it!
The clown dungeon is where we're gonna get our first character death. This will be fun. Habba's dead.
And I have some horrific clown stat blocks to use.
Oh no.
One is where the nose is also a sentient blood-sucking tick, and it crawls off the clown's face. It's great.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Oh yeah, you should see the artwork. It is horrifying.
I don't know if you guys have watched Close Enough yet, but it's but the show done by the same guy who did Regular Show. But I was just thinking of the clowns in that, and I'll leave it at that.
I think I know the show you're talking about. Anyway, does Sam have any thoughts? Clown dungeon or leveling or otherwise?
I think we avoid the clown dungeon.
Yeah, so let's avoid the clown dungeon. No, I think everyone's making good points. I could go with either or. Personally.
What one do you want to set back a little bit, Greg? Because I'm happy to do
I mean,
I'm happy with either.
Part of me wants to say discoveries and all that.
So,
But that's just
like...
because I think I'd rather like bond like us using. I think bonds just because they like that means a reason to eat like to interact more with each other and other people and all that stuff. Doesn't always have to like lead anywhere, but at least it's like getting to know like characters and whatnot, you know.
Mm-hmm. So what's it sound like? 5, 3, 4, 2?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What it
with that.
sound like?
Yep.
That sounds good.
Does that sound okay with you, Dyer?
Fine by me. This is a pretty lofty goal. Honestly, I think this is probably one of the highest I've seen for any group so far.
Oh.
But you guys do tend to earn points a lot quicker than the other two groups. Like I said, I think it's also largely to do with recognizing how different groups handle where they earn points from. You guys pretty actively find good points throughout the session to earn. Whereas like my Friday game, they take a bit longer and they try to find things that have a bit more weight. Just like an offhanded comment that could lead to something isn't a good enough reason for them to call it a discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So like yeah, my high level campaign, the Friday game, they're on 33332. That's because they're at the point where, you know, it has to be like a pretty significant moment for any of the above listed things for it to count for them. Which I think they're a little harsh on themselves, and I'm working on that a little. But they're slow rolling it, which is also fair for their level. So I can't blame them. They're 14, looking to get 15.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have that set. Next level up is 6. And we'll see how long that takes for you guys to get there.
We'll be there next week.
But now that we've hit it, who wants to give the recap this week?
Very well.
I'm about to say, and why is it Don?
Why is it me? Why is it always me? Ah! Okay, anyway. So where did we leave off? We left off in a cart heading towards the 9th District. We had just finished with Core having an episode. So I recall that we had banter going on inside of this, more conversations here pertaining to Core having baggage. I seem to recall him basically staring down Candace, unblinking for like almost like a straight 5 minutes. just to size her up.
Yeah.
And she was just like, Core, what are you doing? And Core's like, you've gotten stronger.
Yeah, it was a little uncomfortable.
A little uncomfortable, but
You're pretty strong.
She's got Core has a scouter. Anyway. So they talked. Candace tried to see about getting him to sign up with the Oath Sword again, and Core had arguments there pertaining to another part of baggage that he doesn't really know how to deal with. Definitely something that doesn't weigh him down as much, but still weighs him down regardless. But we arrived in the 9th District, which was basically described as Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, except money. So big casino, Mardi Gras-ville, where we managed to avoid getting roped into things, probably for the best, because we would have lost Yelena almost immediately. We made our way into the sewers, and follow that to a. Let me see. Actually, let me see if I actually have like notes on this particular section here. Let me consult my own notes. I do not have notes on that unless I put it up here. No, I just have a lot of notes on Candace. Okay. So, along the way to the thing, I think Cor raised the idea that he was worried that these hags had Oathsworn armor in their possession now, due to Dardel Stoneheart's death. Because we realized the armor had like a specific property that allows people to blend in with their environment a lot easier. There was just lots of caulking, lots of trap disabling, and sure enough, yeah, the sewers were trapped. This abandoned building was trapped. There were places that were like just, sealed over, due to construction probably. We managed to get through this without there being any real issue, and we found, Hatner, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
We found Hatner. And he was pretty much just fast asleep. And, Cor got stabbed by the child. That happened.
He scratched you.
He scratched me. And managed to talk him down, after which, the hag did her best, Nightmare on Elm Street impression by, coming through the wall and grabbing the child, which we almost lost him due to how that played out, but due to, some intervention, on Cider's behalf, I believe it was by one of the twins, the brother, not the sister. They made a bargain with Habanero for something to be done on their behalf that was unspecified at the time, but would be specified later in exchange for lending them a hand with basically stopping this hag from stealing Hatner away. Reason that we needed that Cider took the role was because his initial roles were absolute garbage. I think there was a natural
like
one in there.
both a one.
Yeah, it was a
There
one
there
of the
absolutely was a
three, I
natural one.
think.
What, like one or in like I think it was a 5.
Yeah. So
Of course,
both
they were
of those
very
roles,
low.
Oh,
both of those roles
Yeah.
became natural 20s. We weren't able to do much about the hag, but we still managed to save Hatner. We took what we could from this location and made our way back out. Cor passed Hatner the potion of knockout dream juice. That would stop him from basically dreaming in case he decided to like conk out on the way there. And along the way back, we counted no less than, I believe, 8 strawmen who were pursuing us across just many intervals of the city. We counted, I believe, 7 on the wagon and then 1 in the street. We managed to get back to the orphanage, which I actually took notes of the name. I believe it was Fate's Edge.
Mm-hmm.
We made our way back to the Fate's Edge orphanage with Hatner in hand, and from there was just lots of role playing. We made food, Yelena put on a show, and we needed to stay here for the day in order to get information from Patner. We left off with Core making his way into the library at night during the end of the day, where everybody else had, was kind of moving to retire. I think Yelena and Estella have their own room, and Core was supposed to be bunking up with the twins.
Mm-hmm.
But and of course, I'm remembering things from my end. Core had something he needed to do that I didn't really specify, and I think we ended on like this ominous note of like looking at who we assume is nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's everything. Sorry,
I
my
also think that's
recaps tend to
mostly
be.
everything.
Yeah, I think that's mostly everything.
Anyone have anything else to add?
No, just just a question to clarify. Do both of the twins each owe him one the god thing, or was it just a collective one thing?
Man, that would have been a really good question to clarify with the god.
I think I did. I honestly I assumed it was gonna be two things in the moment. It's like, yeah, I got 2 rolls out of it, changes out of it.
Mistakes were made.
I mean, I'm fine with it either way. I guess we shall see when it comes up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got
Nero,
your,
I need you to kill this baby, and Haba, I need you to kill this other baby.
Perfect. The double baby kill.
That
Never
is
see it coming.
most powerful of baby killing techniques.
It's like, oh, are they like gonna grow up to be like evil like lords that are gonna conquer the world? It's like, no, that one just gave me a weird look, and I don't like it. Get rid of it. Oh,
I too murder children whenever they give me a funny look.
Just pull the Among Us double kill. And both escape while no one's watching.
Have you heard the term Kilimanjaro?
Oh my god.
Anyway, Sam, I've got your write-up right here
Okay.
for your whip.
Okay.
You can whip it. Whip it
Real
good.
good.
Wait, is that the write-up? What?
Does just make
No. For the record, I didn't arrange that. That was just all him. So direct
I mean,
and all ire. No.
That was a pretty good, that was a pretty good one, though.
Okay. We last left off with Core entering the library in the Faith's Edge Orphanage on an errand of his own, wherein he discovered, sitting at one of the tables there, the white-haired, red-cloaked individual who was impassively watching Yelena's performance earlier. One of the yet unintroduced adjutants.
Okay.
Core, what was your goal here?
Well, Core was gonna have a conversation with the necklace.
Oh.
Which is why he wanted to be alone, because it's something he doesn't really want anyone to be around for. But he's found that there's somebody down here, which means, obviously I have to do the super cool thing, which is I have to size him up. You need to know the weaknesses of everyone that you come across.
Yeah, so you're just gonna walk into the library, notice him, and then just stop and stare at him for a minute?
I'm gonna approach him, but Core is definitely looking at him kind of curiously.
Okay.
Not a little bit awkwardly.
Well, you receive literally no reaction upon entering. Or even approaching. Just stays trained in on the book.
Yeah, I think Core just stares at him until he gets what he wants out of this. Or until he gets acknowledged.
Okay. Doesn't ignore.
Awesome.
We'll ignore you for the full minute.
Awesome. Alright. So... Nobody. I'm assuming. I'm just gonna put question mark, nobody.
That's their thing.
Level of spell slots.
Compare it against
Quill.
superior.
Oh, shit. Oh, no, I've already cursed. Oh, well. I was very surprised by this. Okay, let's see. What do I want?
What do you want? World peace is not an answer.
Peace was never an option. Max up hit points compared to Quill.
Superior.
Okay.
Granted, I mean, interesting choice for comparison given you're just like, well, this wizard must be really bulky. Let's see what the comparison is.
Well, Quill's also a wizard, and Core's just legitimately curious how the spellcasters stack up to one another.
Oh, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, yeah, like physically observing nobody, he seems a bit more frail than Quill in terms of physicality. If anything, he actually looks a little sick. Like he's pretty gaunt. Limbs are a bit thin. Like he might have had a disease when he was younger.
What is he reading? Since I'm staring at him for a minute.
There's no markings. It's just a big, thick tome. There are no markings on it that would indicate what it is.
Is he reading it silently to himself? Is his mouth moving?
Nope. Completely silent. In fact, the way he sits, it's noticeably unnerving in that there's almost no perceptible shift in his body at all when he's reading. It's almost like a perfect statue is just sitting there reading a book.
I think Core is going to take a seat adjacent from him.
Okay. When you finally pull the chair up and settle in, you do not garner any direct attention, but you do hear a voice inside your head. You have any further reason to engage in this conversation, or are you doing this out of your own curiosity?
Core, I think, is a little caught off guard by what I heard, but Core just kind of, I think, says, I came here to get away from people, but I found you here. And I think you're the only one I haven't met in the group.
There are several more you have not yet had the pleasure of being introduced to. There are some 24 of us.
Yeah, you the one that they call nobody?
That is correct.
Gotta ask. Why that name?
Because I frequently adopt the identity of many other people, garnering the name Nobody, in that absolutely no one is sure who I actually am.
Core seems like he's actually pondering on that.
If you wish a location to be alone, you leave out the rear entrance of the orphanage. The alleyway should be clear at this time of night.
I don't think I want to talk in the alleyway.
Then it would seem you are out of luck for trying to find a place that will be empty at this time.
Let me ask you something.
I will entertain a question.
Car takes off the necklace. I had a Quill look at this. I think I want a second opinion.
Do I look like someone who is offering my services for that?
You said you'd entertain a question.
A question.
Why are you gonna answer?
I am still waiting for the question.
Is this something that's worth talking to?
For once, he looks up from the book. Green eyes. Nothing special about them. Looks at the prayer beads you're holding. And then after about 5 or 6 seconds, his glances back down to his book and the voice returns to your head. They contain a fragment of some living essence, but it is mostly a broken spirit, as all things tend to be when tied to previous religious worship. The gods tend to break more things than they fix.
What makes you say that?
Experience.
So, I guess... Instead of yeah?
You have such an interest in reconnecting with whatever is attached to it, then yes, you should speak to it.
I think Cor like holds onto the necklace. Saw you watching Yelena's show. What do you think?
In terms of shows I've observed, she has talent for her experience, but I have seen numerous shows that have held higher expectations and have performed better.
I think Cor's just kind of like looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
Just very, very quietly. So, what's a person like you doing involved with all of this?
I would require that you be more specific in your question.
You you talk like someone who's seen a lot, but doesn't seem like they care about a lot.
I'm involved because there is a purpose here that is held on to by the leader of the group that I believe in seeing through. Do not take my inability to express myself as a lack of concern, merely a lack of emotion. A fault of mine, if you will.
All right. Do you mind if I try to have my conversation here? Am I going to get in the way if you're reading?
No. It is very easy to ignore things.
All right, well, you say so. I think Core is going to make his way, like, away from the table.
Mm-hmm.
Find a corner that's there and not have the conversation, like, right there in front of him.
Doable.
And puts the necklace down and just kind of stares at it. And Court says, I don't even really know kinda where to begin. Things have been really aimless, and I know you want the best for me. If you saw how much of a wreck I've been, I know you wouldn't be none too happy. So I guess I'll start off by saying, I guess the easiest thing. I'm sorry. I'm just so angry about everything, and I'm still really angry with myself. It's been 2 years, right? What happened haunts me. It's there, and it's all kept me here in this place. I if I had to take a guess, you'd probably want me to stop kicking myself for everything that's happened. I'm gonna give it a try, okay? I don't know if that's what you want. It's really hard to know what's right, what's up, what's down. I had to look myself, I guess, in the mirror when I tried talking to Hatner. If I don't start trusting the people around me a little bit more, I'm not going to be able to help these kids out. I know nothing was ever going to happen from it, but I had feelings for you. I don't think what that guy said was true. You're hardly broken. I don't even really know where else to take this. I'm gonna try and do this one step at a time, but if you're listening, just please be there for me.
One of the prayer beads very faintly begins to glow and then dims into nothing.
I think Cord just breaks down crying, grabbing the necklace. Just slow.
Okay.
Let me roll and see if we're gonna hobo it up or not. We're gonna hobo it up. Guess who's sleeping in the library? We did it. We did it, fellas.
We did it, everybody. He gets a comfy bed for a night, sleeps on the floor, no problem.
That's the core way. How many levels of exhaustion did I take? Wow, this is the Death Library 6? Alright, new character it is.
Well, Cor, you will, sad of a sentence as it is to say, cry yourself to sleep in the library.
With nobody as the only person around, reading his book, ignoring me.
Mm-hmm.
What a good guy.
Yep, completely normal day here in the library. Eventually, after all of that, 8 hours will pass. Everyone will get their long rest. Or you wake up in the room with Haba and Era.
Am I wearing feety pajamas?
You aren't, but you are wearing pajamas.
Who dares do this to me?
So you're finally awake, huh?
Oh no, this is the opening to Skyrim, isn't it? Storm cloaks. He's gonna change the splash page, and it's just gonna be over.
Look, all the tokens are just Ulbrich.
It was the Skyrim game all along.
No. You can't do this.
Todd Howard walks out.
We're not rebels.
It's okay, I could easily switch to Stealth Archer, it's fine.
We'll all
I'm
end up
playing a stealth archer, right?
I was thinking of getting narrow a bow sometime soon, so I didn't have to throw my greatsword after things.
Yeah, you should probably stop that. Or, go speak to an enchanter about turning it into a projectile when you want to.
Give it the qualities of a dwarven thrower.
Maybe in the future, not impossible. Right now, it's probably a little out of your price range.
Yeah.
It's like 5 figures at least.
Oh no. Right,
But the sound of an early, sweet-sounding bell ring through the orphanage. It is a still dark 5:30 a.m. Granted, y'all went to bed very early, so even this, most of you probably slept well past 8 hours. And for those of you that didn't, you were keeping yourself occupied. But the rooms are comfortable, the beds are soft, the blankets warm. And you wake up and no untoward nightmares, nothing unusual happened. Other than Cora perhaps ending up asleep in the room in pajamas. Not entirely certain of what happened last night actually happened.
I'm gonna get up and just make my way to the sitting area that we've used.
Mm-hmm.
Wait for everybody.
Thank you.
You will not be the only one in there, Yelena. There are a handful of adjutants present. Amongst them, Rain, the orc, who you've heard at this point referred to as Bottle, and a dwarf, a rusty colored fiery beard, with these very decorative metal rings woven into him. He looks really out of place here, to be quite honest with you. But he's sitting on one of the other couches, sunk heavily into it due to his weight, and he's just sort of sitting there, reading what looks like a newspaper.
She'll kind of make herself comfortable off to the side a little bit, waiting for the others.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the others,
I will say, Core probably wouldn't have seen the boys in the room when he woke up, because they're busy making breakfast for everybody.
Yep, Amethyst would have come and gotten you about an hour prior.
It's just a character thing. I think they were really excited to make breakfast. I think they were already up just waiting.
They were up at 3:30, just sitting there waiting for the door to open.
Yeah.
Startled Amethyst a little. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, fine. All right.
I was waiting at the door, big smile. Hi!
Stella's just vibing, to be honest with you.
Lounging in bed, chilling.
Pretty much. She's not an aura-rise person, and that's okay.
It is very early. It's very early. But so yeah, the very sweet chiming bell at 5:30 is the wake up bell. Then for those of you that decide to chill and lounge for a bit, there's a second one that starts ringing at 6, which is a little louder and a bit more pointed, and you will hear quite a bit of movement in the orphanage. For anyone following the movement, you'll see the traffic heading to the west side of the building, where you will find a large open room where there is more or less a cafeteria. Long wooden tables, multiple seats, a attached to the kitchen were Haba, Nero, Amethyst, and another adjutant who you would have been introduced to, Haba and Nero, who goes by the name of Wild, W-I-L-D, a wood elf, would have been helping you prepare a very large meal for, the some 40 people that are currently at the orphanage. And we're talking just gigantic things of scrambled eggs, frying off dozens of sausages, and then just preparing a bunch of diced up fruit, just a smattering of everything. And then preparing it all so it's reasonably sized to be portioned out to children so that way they don't overdo it. Or children,
Yeah.
Speaking of habanero preparing a meal.
Yes, do you want me to roll my ingredient dice?
I do.
All right, let's
you
go.
You have these.
All right, all D4s in this case, right? Because I haven't had a chance to go a harvesting, as they say.
That is true.
I want to roll D100 here for catastrophe for Hobbit. No kidding.
Using your fate dice to stab him
right now.
Antagonistic use of the fate dice. I love it. Ooh, that's not bad.
I am the most likely to roll a 1.
Literally, it's all 1s and 4s. Okay, yeah.
It's Christmas.
Yeah.
It is very Christmas.
Okay.
Gotta double check.
All right, so I will let you know. So, okay, if I decide to give any of you at least 6 of these temporary HP, you're gonna get a bonus effect as of your choice. Okay. Or do they get all of these, or do they have to choose based on what stat they want?
Technically, it's you. You get to choose,
I choose?
which So
okay.
if you give them 6 temporary hit points, you get to choose the additional effect that you want them to have. You can of course consult the player out of character to do so.
Yes. Dawn, you feeling stealthy, or you feeling like you got some keen eyesight today?
I would prefer keen eyesight stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 6 of this pool. You have 6 temporary HP. You get to add a D4 to your perception checks until your next long rest.
It's really good.
Yes. All right. That leaves me with. Let me do math. 9. Okay. So somebody else can still get the
bonus.
The bonus now. Yep. All right. Estella, Yelena, do you guys have any preference over who you'd rather get the bonus?
I would prefer probably Yelena just because she would probably be more frontline and could use it.
Okay. Yelena, you're looking a little smart. Do you want to add a D4 to your concentration checks?
Sure.
Or would you want something else? I got persuasion checks, I got stealth checks, and I got a D4 to your strength-based attack rolls. That one seemed a bit more geared towards Nero and whatnot, so I wasn't gonna put that on the table.
Concentration could help.
All right, this is a smart breakfast for you. A lot of fruit, specifically on your plate.
Core got a bunch of carrots. You get a bunch of fruit.
Yep. Yeah, Core got some slow roasted and braised carrots that you get in a stew and whatnot.
A little bit of honey.
Breakfast stew. Yeah. All right. And then Sam, I'm sorry, but I only have 3. I have 3 temporary HP to give you.
So no bonus, just 3 temporary HP.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
I gave you a little bit of extra bacon on your plate.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, you were going through the breakfast line, and it's like, and here's a little extra for you, sweet thing, and just an extra slice of bacon.
You earned it.
Lunch Lady Haba.
Oh. All right. I think that should be everybody. Listen how it is.
I presume, considering we're eating, that we're all probably in the cafeteria.
If you would all be so bold, yes.
Looking around, does Hatner appear to be here this morning?
He does. He is sitting on a corner of one of the long tables with Patty, Muriel, and Rain.
Now to do what I've been waiting to do for many sessions now.
Stab this child.
Size him up! Of course, mean looking him as he's eating all this food.
See a better rogue than me?
That's exactly what's gonna happen. That's exactly what's gonna happen, and I'm waiting to have my hopes get crushed.
Probably.
Well, you know what? We're gonna spend 2 minutes just mean mugging him.
All right.
You'll just have to walk over and just sit at the table while Cora's mean bucking.
Yep. Yelena goes over and be supportive and nice. That's great. Meanwhile, for the record, after the first minute, Rain starts giving you a mean mug back. She has her back to you, but after the first minute, she notices.
Okay, so let me do the first minute here. Okay. Core needs to know his intelligence score compared to mine. I'm not ready for this, by the way.
Are you sure? You're the one doing it.
Here's the moment of truth.
Inferior.
I have a 6. Woo! Smarter than this brat.
He says as he talks down to a teenager.
Alright. Well, that changes a lot of stuff with this. Level of spell slots compared to me.
Equal.
Okay. Core does not proceed to do this any further. Okay, let's see. So, is Rain, like, in front of him?
She's just off to the side, but if she sees you continue doing this, she is gonna scooch.
Yeah, Core just, like, looks at her and just says... He, like, just says, like, in a whisper, I'm doing a thing. Like, his mouth stuffed with carrots. I think that, maybe that disarms her? I don't know.
Is that I guess, persuasion check?
Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Nero is staring at Core, sipping his coffee and saying, "It's not polite to stare, Core. I should know. Haba has to remind me myself."
Rain doesn't move, but she does keep shoulder checking.
She's just like literally like shoulder to shoulder with Core.
Like she's on her seat. Like you guys are at separate tables, but she's still constantly looking over her shoulder, watching, like checking on you every 15-20 seconds.
Sure.
Like she clearly still disapproves of you staring, but she's just not going to like move to do anything yet. Granted, for the record, her maul, her really big hammer that she carries with her everywhere, is sitting behind her, behind the bench she's sitting on.
Okay.
Just to warn you, she's armed.
Yep. No, I mean I expect her to be armed. Core's not gonna do anything here. It's gonna warrant hostile action. Anyway, after that minute, Core's gonna relocate to sit with the rest of the party by Hatner.
Okay.
Now that his ego has been thoroughly stroked. Listen, he tried to poison me twice. I feel entitled to this. As I eat my pulled pork.
Weird breakfast choice, but all right.
It's my dinner.
Whatever floats your boat.
I don't know. Sometimes stew hits right in the morning, you know?
I mean, I don't disagree. As someone who's literally had very little substance for breakfast today, I completely... It might take a slightly longer than average break a bit to go make
That's
breakfast.
fine. Gives me enough time to make another, like, actual cup of coffee. Not
But
instant coffee.
that being said, you're all sitting at the end of the table where Hatner, Muriel, and Patty are all located. And Hatner, while he still is showing the effects of his forced consciousness over the last couple of days, he is looking markedly better this morning. Having gotten what looks like a very full rest, and he's eating pretty ravenously. So much so that occasionally Rain is like stabbing him across the table with a fork to remind him of his manners. But there seems to be conversation, none of which is geared towards what's been happening. He's mostly just talking and making jokes to make Patty and Muriel laugh. There is an obvious sign that both of those girls tend to admire and listen to him at the point of that. It's almost reasonable to assume that if Hatner has ties to all these other younger kids, that he's kind of their leader at this point. Very much like, Peter Pan in the Lost Boys.
His own future smiles.
What?
I don't think I want to like interrupt them and just like start asking questions like, so where are the other kids? What do you know about the hag?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Does anyone want to be so insensitive?
Cora isn't going to do that, but I think Cora is probably going to be like maybe take part a little bit in their conversation.
Okay. You're gonna try to be the adult slipping into the kids' conversation?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. What does some of that look like?
What was Sam saying?
I said you practically fit in.
Oh, short.
I don't know what the last thing that gets said between them is.
It was a joke at the expense of a rich fat guy.
Joke at the what are they calling him? Like I guess it's probably like something like name calling or something like that.
It was like a really bad. It was just like a really badly constructed joke that ended with like a punchline that was more or less just making fun of him. Like, his money bags aren't the only thing that's, heavy and paunchy. I really don't. I don't have the finesse to come up with a bad fat guy joke off the top of my head. So. Note to self: work on comedy.
Work on comedy career that never took off the ground.
I guess it should be note
I
to self:
guess,
start comedy.
The only thing I can kind of think of for like Core coming in here is like following up on that joke and saying something like literally comparing him to like a food item or something like that. Probably like sausage or bacon or something like that. Just to kind of, basically calling a big fat guy a pig.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe following up with like a little bit of like just a sound, just to be a doofus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want me to roll something for this.
Yeah, persuasion or performance, whichever you prefer. Which I think is persuasion.
Sure, persuasion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is the funniest thing they've ever heard.
It hits. Yep, it hits. People keep laughing. They're enjoying themselves.
Or just comes in, he's like, Porky the money bag.
Well, and you know how to kids, how some things are just inexplicably funny, even if someone else is just like, right.
Yeah, Cora just snorts once and they just lose it.
Mm-hmm. It hits just right. Yeah. Breakfast is enjoyable. The food is good. Relatively high quality ingredients. Everything is seasoned well. You can taste a little bit of Haba and Nero's influence with a bit of their dwarven style of cooking. And all the kids there enjoy themselves, and everyone seems very happy in the atmosphere. There is dotted among all of these individuals several adjutants, again, some of which are unfamiliar to a couple of you, but half of which you do know. But breakfast will go by pretty swimmingly. There'll be another soft chime of a bell, and you'll watch as all of the kids eventually will start, collecting plates and bringing them back to the kitchen. And you'll watch as all the kids get organized, most of which go outside for get ready to go taken for class. A small group of which are taken into the kitchen with one of the other caretakers, and they do the dishes together. And things move very swimmingly here. You can tell that this place is run very well, and the kids, for better or worse, enjoy themselves, even if it is just doing dishes. I mean, some of them probably don't enjoy it, but they're happy enough. It is pointedly after the meal is done, and the group of you, including Hatner and Rain, there is a long moment where you guys are sort of just getting ready, bringing your dishes up, and preparing to leave, where everyone's sort of wondering, when do we sit down to talk about everything that's happened, where from pretty much out of nowhere, the white-haired individual, Nobody, will arrive, stand there, and in all of your heads, you will hear a voice. We should sojourn to the break room and speak further as to the things Hatner is aware of, so that we can make plans to further pursue these missing children. Please follow me. Pops is waiting. And wordlessly turns and walks off.
Elena kind of raises an eyebrow at the voice in her head, but glances at the others before standing up and just following behind.
I hear he's great at parties. Cor just follows.
Rain just kind of snickers. Yeah, you should hear his stand-up. Hilarious. All brought to the break room, where nobody is outside with the door open, gesturing for you to enter. It is cleared of all occupants except one. A moderately well-dressed Pops, who is standing there watching as all of you come in. The gentle but affectionate smile he's always seen wearing. And when Hatner enters the room, he immediately bear hugs him. To which Hatner struggles underneath the strength of this large orcish man. Eventually, being let go, where he takes a couple of deep breaths. Sorry, I just got a little emotional. Glad to see you're doing well, Hatner. It's getting concerned. Hatner just kind of he averts his eyes briefly and just kind of nods a bunch. Yeah. Well, things got kind of rough. I didn't want to bring any trouble to you, Pops. And I figured the less people I contacted, the less danger that we spread around. I was trying to buy some time to solve the problem. But, well, I failed at that, so here I am. And he just kind of stays quiet for a moment, for a long moment. Don't worry. Everything is fine now. And Pops will gesture to all of you. I've brought in some friends, which you've already met, clearly. And, well, they've done very well. Bring you back, and Patty and Muriel, and hopefully they'll help us find the other ones.
That's what we're hoping. Hatner, you said that you might know where they are.
Yeah, I sent them to different parts of the city to try to keep them hidden from those ugly witches that were haunting us. And mostly pissed them off and had them chase after me so they could have enough time to run. Let's see, and he stops and he looks around the table, or looks around the room, and on the round table in the corner, there's a stack of blank parchment and a sharpened pencil, and he goes over and he slides this paper off, gets into a chair, and begins drawing very furiously. Which, as you've seen, he's not actually too bad of an artist. It takes him a moment, and you see a rough outline of the city come to bear. He segments it into its various sections, and then just kind of does a bit of a brief highlighting of the exterior of the city for the slums, but then we're also segmented into areas which most commonly people who live inside the city walls don't know that the slums have, that their own districts. And then he'll just begin sectioning off different parts of the map, and then just draw big circles in certain areas, highlighting 5 of them. So most of them I send outside of the city, 2 of which should still be here. I was trying to think of places where I thought maybe they would be safe, away from these things. So the 2 inside the city, one is, and he takes the pencil and he taps it very pointedly on the 4th district, and he goes, I wasn't positive, but I figured that this might have been one of the better bets, is that I sent one of the kids, sent Priya to the 4th district to hide in the octopus arena. I figured since it was dedicated to Marin, that maybe the hags wouldn't be able to cross on it if it was actually what's the word for that, holy ground, whatever they call that. I was hoping that maybe they wouldn't be able to cross over onto it then. So hopefully she's still somewhere there. It's a big place though, so it might take some time to find her. Come on, quick. Getting my list of names.
That was the Octopush Arena?
Octopush Arena.
I heard Octopus Arena, and I was sitting here being like, that's pretty metal. I'm glad they consecrated that.
Gotta find an octopus. Gotta get some new ingredients. We're gonna have some sushi for dinner.
You don't,
Takoyaki.
why would you ever cook the contestants?
This is
They
getting
lost.
weird. I'm looking in the wrong spot for this information. There you go.
Okay, so the first one was the one of them was the Octopus Arena in the 4th district. What was the other one?
I was grabbing my list of names real quick.
Okay.
Elevator music. Quick, interject and film the blank air with something. Good job.
I did.
Filled it with nothing.
Boom.
Crunch, crunch, chicken chips.
There you go. Perfect.
Wait, yeah,
Core
let's say
went-
add break to chicken chip. Go.
Core just looks up at Estella.
You
and
ever
says,
hungry
Hey,
for chicken, but you don't have the time or the space on your person? Well, come on down to insert name of store here and get yourself a bag of chicken chips. Now in 5 different flavors.
insert name of store here. The Queen of Cuisine, Estella herself, will sell you a bag of chicken chips.
She bought it from the store this morning, and she's gonna sell it to you now for a 500% markup.
Absolutely, we stole it. Took it. Bought it legitimately with our hard-earned someone else's money.
You're
We
gonna
stole the money
like it
too.
because the one selling it to you is a ridiculously tall Amazonian goddess of a woman.
Please
she flips
buy
her
it.
hand, thumbs up.
Or they will take my kneecaps.
Oh my god.
Well, that went somewhere.
Send help.
Estella
Please.
kicks him over, gives a thumbs up, and she's like, now in 5 delicious flavors.
Insert store name here.
Wow, I really want that to be a thing now. I just more particularly the core giving his spiel and then Stella just kicking him off screen and then finishing it with like a picture perfect smile. Now in 5 flavors.
I need it now.
Okay, he's got uncanny dodge. You can't one-shot him anymore.
Well,
Anymore.
that won't save you from other things.
That won't save you from other things, like the death.
Mostly the death. But that being said, that was honestly that was a fun cutaway. All right, so from now on, whenever I ask for a cutaway, just make up a fake product and make a commercial for it, and that's how we fill in space.
I think that sounds great.
I'm about this on many levels. So much so, Sam, take an inspiration point because I thought that was funny. I'd give you 1 core, but you're full.
I use it now on heating my coffee up.
I don't think you need one to do that. Just maybe a microwave or a pot, or a stove.
You need a Yelena.
Touche, actually.
That's fair.
Spend my persuasion check on Yelena to get her to
Eat my
cook my
coffee.
coffee. Yes.
That's the next product we sell, the Yelena.
Yelena brand microwave. Alright.
I'm about this, but no, seriously though, we're gonna get back into character. Where Hatner continues his map of the city, starting off with the 4th district at the Octopush Arena. For the record, the home team is the Galioth Gold Rushers. Gold Rushers, yeah. Every major city has an Octopush team. It's basically the international sport.
I'm surprised the city doesn't have like one for each district that compete.
They did for a time, but the circle heads, some more of the contentious ones, they started hiring assassins to kill players of other teams so they could win.
Oh no!
So yeah, it eventually came down to there would just be one team where all circle heads had a vested interest, so that way they wouldn't hire assassins to kill players.
That's so messed up.
Yeah, well, that's literally the world of Galioth. I wish I was actually making that up. I have a written blurb.
Man, can you imagine? It's like, yeah, we got a fan favorite. He's not gonna be playing this one. Why? Because the circle head murdered him.
Yeah, it's like,
He had an accident. He fell down a flight of stairs onto 25 knives.
He didn't take my bribe money to throw the game. That's a death for you, sir. Thought we were gonna get a tournament arc where we gotta become the next big Octopus team.
I mean, you could, but I mean, it's a pretty competitive field. And for the record, the game has rules, and it is if you've ever played Final Fantasy X, it's based off of
Yo, let's
That's
go.
amazing.
Yeah, so that is literally what it's what it's styled off of, and I have a written rule set for it. I've never played
We'll
it,
play it, so we have
but
to play.
in my head it sounds cool. For the record, it's called Octopush because you're underwater the whole game. That's why it's challenging. It's the reason why the players are actually pretty good.
Mhm.
You gotta be good swimmer.
Why don't they just use, like, I don't know, cast water breathing and water walking? I mean, freedom of movement, freaking forehead.
They probably
Jeez.
could. I don't know. I don't know if casting is available out or not.
No, magic is actually not allowed. That's the
Oh.
equivalent to steroids.
Where's
Okay,
the-
but what
where's
if
the
you're like
underground?
what if you're like a a race that can breathe water?
The ringers.
Oh, shoot.
Tritons and sea elves do really well.
They're the main competition.
I want to see this, but like the Dark Olympics, where like drugs and magic are encouraged. Be
Oh,
the best possible octopus player
The
you can
underground octopus arena, right? Yeah. That's where they've hid an enormous arena underneath the city.
be. And it's
Yeah,
run
true.
by rat men.
Oh my
Looking to make a quick buck, kid.
So, Hatner, where are the other children?
Yeah.
You know something about the octopus teams. You gotta tell us. Where
Yeah,
they
someone
are.
was just like the camera panned over to the newspaper that was left on the table, and everyone's just started talking about the octopus teams that the league that's going on currently.
I can't wait for the tournament where the hags have all the strawmen that we saw, and they're all octopus players.
They're all in their uniforms, and
That's
it
the
looks
connection.
look very out of place.
Darnell was a huge. He gambled largely all on octopus teams. That's the connection.
This is why Darnell had to die. He loved octopus too much.
Didn't
Yeah, you know
settle
what?
his debts. Gotta.
You know what? We're gonna take our break here. And we're gonna take 10 minutes. So we're 8:50ish is when or rather the 50 passes around. We're gonna come back. So we can get all of our giggles out of our system on our own time.
Okay. Sorry, we keep getting out of character.
Don't get me wrong, I'm laughing. I really shouldn't be encouraging it, but I've been enjoying myself. So it's one of those like,
Okay.
because I mean, at the very least, we're all joking about like in-world things, which is fine. You're talking about non-game related things, I'd be upset, but you're not. So it's like, this is funny.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we are stopping what is supposed to be a relatively important thing from happening in character. So we're gonna take a 10-minute break.
All right.
And we're gonna come back, and we're gonna put our game faces back on. Not our octopus faces, but our game faces, and we're gonna try to continue on with the story.
Yes.
I might be a little bit over the 10-minute mark, but that's just because I have to get the child ready for the day.
Yes, baby things are important. I understand.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you. I'll be right back.
Okay.
We'll be back.
I'll take care of my dogs in the meanwhile and keep my coffee up.
I'm just gonna get a second cup. Because I didn't go to bed until
Did not
5
want to.
a.m. Like a fool.
You were too busy playing Monster Hunter.
I was helping a buddy get through low rank last night.
The likely story. Alright, I'm gonna go do my thing. Be right back.
Yep.
I have returned.
I have returned.
Welcome back.
Am I the last one here?
I do not know where Cider is, and I assume Sam.
Sam is
baby.
busy with the baby.
I was helping Sam.
Oh.
Sam with the baby.
Double baby.
I just got back. Yes.
Oh no, the
What's
child is
that?
multiplied.
He was very angry because he got put in his high chair first before getting his oatmeal, and despite getting his oatmeal like a minute later.
Yeah, no, it's just that's not how babies work.
There's an order to things.
There is. Heck,
Just
even I'm
struck
like
the
that. Are you
natural
kidding me?
order.
That's the difference between being a baby and an adult. I get to choose my order of things. I
Yeah.
pick the order that makes me happiest.
Oh, so off topic, but I think Dyer, you would be most interested in this. Have you heard of Dragon Stew?
No, I can't say I have.
Okay, so I just got it the other week. It is a cooking supplement for D&D.
Oh,
So like it's got some like fun cooking based subclasses, like a bunch of fun new monsters,
I'm into it.
dessert familiars. Or I posted one in nonsense, the crabsant.
There's stuff like tea dragons and like a mochi cat.
is there a beer elemental? Because if there
No,
isn't,
but there's a
I have one of those. Oh
there's
no,
a circle of the brew druid,
nice.
and like it's about like giving your wild shapes to like other people through like polymorph brews and stuff like that, which I think is kind of neat.
Yeah, I have a druid subclass that's a Circle of the Vine that can make good berries into wine.
Oh, fun!
Yeah. Yeah, I too like food thing. Oh, also,
Yeah, that's what I was. I was like, yeah, you appreciate this.
Yeah. I also have a booze ooze.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, I love it just because. But that being said, Sam warned us she would be a little bit longer, and that's fine. But we're gonna continue. Since we already ran over a tiny bit on the break. So let's continue.
We asked Katner about the other children in this list that Dyer warned us of.
Yes, a list of terrible things. So Hatner, sitting at the table, surrounded by all these adults that are staring over his shoulder eagerly as he continues his artistic endeavors to draw the city of Geliath, points to the second location, which highlights the 5th district. And he points at it and he goes, well, this was purposely a misdirect since, well, Ellery has a bit of magical talent, and Aliel loved being here, but I sent them outside the city. I sent Corbish here due to him being a little bit of out of place here, but again, I was hoping that if I managed to sneak him into on one of the main campus grounds, one of their main instructional buildings, that there would be magical wards or something of that nature, security of some kind that would stop hags from entering. So he should still be holed up in one of the utility rooms on the campus, and ideally safe. But I don't know. After I was awake for so many days, I stopped checking in, so I'm uncertain as to their status right now. As for Ellery and Aliel, I sent both of them outside the city. One to the northwest, in Fisher's Wharf. It's very busy there on the river, so I figured, just with the density of people, that the odds of finding one child would be very slim.
Add a character, Fisher's Wharf. Let me pull up the map real quick. But That's the districts go counterclockwise, right?
No, they go clockwise.
Clockwise. Okay, sorry. So that would be, if I'm reading this right, where would that be, like, district-wise? That's, like,
The map.
9-10?
Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
Because I've got the map here in front of me, but it doesn't actually
I
have,
think it would
like,
be 8-9. Like I said, the pie slices are a little bit different in my brain.
Okay.
We'll verify. You think this is just one of those assets I'd have sitting open the whole time? Really just gonna have my wife write a program that can just open up all relevant documents for me whenever I start a game. Seems like a smart idea. Went to the wrong spot. Okay. Oh no, you were originally correct. It is on 8 and 9. And for the record, the river that cuts through Gellius does not depict some unimaginable.
Also, just to specify, before we head out of the orphanage, I am gonna see about leaving the dogs here.
Okay.
Just so, for once, it doesn't seem like I forgot about him.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. It's good to bring it up now, so that way it's at least hopefully bulleted in someone's brain before you guys leave.
Mm-hmm. Also, Sam is back. She's just muted, so
yeah,
you don't hear.
Because the baby's eating breakfast.
Baby. Yep.
And SpongeBob. Although I really enjoy me some SpongeBob.
Oh, it's great. I've probably watched this show 3 times over since moving here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, it's produced a lot of good memes. Like, I can't even emphasize that.
So, outside the city, I got the northwest area by Fisher's Wharf. Who's there?
Ellery. The slightly magical halfling girl. She used to do performances in the 9th district.
Okay.
And there was one more outside the city.
Yes, Aliel. Much to her protests, I sent her out on the southeastern side of the city towards more of the farmland, into the green ward, as it's referred to. It's the stretch of slums that have 2 roads that lead out into that most of the farmers use to bring their goods in and out. It's one of the areas that is most commonly used for people that aren't doing well to try to steal food or scrounge off of things that fall off carts.
I kind of know that area. It's been a while.
And you said that we should probably be taking you with us because they're not going to trust anyone else, right?
I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't trust I barely trust any of you now. It's the fact that I'm not dead that I'm helping. And the fact that Pops is here.
Hatner, I got a question.
Yeah.
Do you know someone name of Aaron Hervelor? About 10, short black hair, scar below their chin.
He stopped and thinks. I don't know the name, but the look sounds familiar. The scar. I think I've seen a kid like that before.
Yeah, they were in the 2nd district. I don't think they're doing too good with everything that's happening.
Are the hags after them too?
I think they actually got their hands on them.
Well, then nothing can be done about that.
So, I have a few questions, is all. But I kinda... Car just takes a deep breath. You really gave me a lot of trouble. He just laughs a little bit.
Hatner smiles very wide.
I actually had to get a friend of mine involved from the Oathsworn to make sure I was covering my ground well enough here, considering how littered with traps everything was. You're really good. Really good.
Well, if you've met the hags yet, you'd understand why I was leaving traps behind like I was. Hoping they would fall into them.
What did you do to upset them?
I'm sorry, one more time?
What did you do to upset them?
Evade them, mostly. They just started coming after me.
Yeah, but you said you got under their skin.
Oh, well...
I was wondering if there was something that you did specifically.
Well, they started coming after me, and then they started going after the kids I was hanging out with, and I sent them all away. They're upset that they don't have easy targets anymore. At least the ones that they were trying to get around me. I'm sure there are other kids they can pick on, but I feel like they're taking it a bit personally that I'm giving them the runaround.
Alright. Cord just nods and then says, I had a follow-up question, actually.
Yeah, I figured you might. You're full of them.
There was a spell book that we found in one of the locations.
Ah, the purple thing.
Yeah.
I didn't
Where'd you
realize.
get it?
Stole it off of a guy in robes.
Do you remember what they look like?
I mean, well enough. Looks at Estella, about as tall as she was. Pale skin. Dark hair. Oily, slicked back. Groomed facial hair. I didn't get a look at his eyes. Dressed really nicely. Obviously super rich. I'd initially planned on cutting the purse that he had on him, but I saw the book, and with a little bit of help and a distraction, I swiped it off of him.
What district was this in?
It was in the 6th.
Do you know if he wore any identifiers on him, like any symbols?
None that I could see.
Okay. Well, that was someone's spell book, so I'm gonna give you quite a bit of a praise for that. I'm glad you didn't open it, though. Really
Couldn't,
glad.
even if I tried, which I did. I'm assuming it must have been magically locked or something like that. Nothing I can do about that.
And magically trapped, too.
Well, then I'm most lucky that I didn't get it open.
How did you deal with the strawmen?
They're not that bright. Mostly misdirection. Trapping them in the rooms and locking them up. I think I've got a couple around the city like that. And they're pretty strong, but they can't really break through stone or brick. I guess maybe given enough time.
How did you deal with that, wailing?
Oh, well, the first time, all dumb luck. Caught me by surprise. Managed to shrug it off and just ran. All the other times after that, when I knew I was being followed, and they would pick a fight with me, I stuffed my ears. Wax or cotton. The wax was more effective, but anything in a pinch will at least help.
Okay.
Other than that, all I had to do was keep my distance from them so they couldn't actually get their claws on me.
Yeah, they're really a big pain.
Other than that, I had several dummies that were dressed similar to me and put into certain positions. They had a hard time telling them apart from me, so I used them to jump on those and then lock them in rooms. They seemed smart enough to realize like that they need to get me, and smart enough to know how to fight and back out of a situation, but they don't have enough awareness to realize that the thing that looks like me isn't me. So I use that to my advantage. Use the ropes and wire and trip them into places where I knew they couldn't get out. Seal them in. Seemed effective.
Did that potion I give you help at all?
I slept and I don't remember anything. So I would go with yes.
Good, good. I think that's all I gotta ask.
I think that we should probably go about getting all of these kids here as soon as possible. That hag knows that you slipped away and went with us. They might try searching for the others now that are not distracted by you.
We're gonna have a problem on our hands because, you saw how many there were. Those things, the strawmen. They're gonna come down on us. This is not gonna be an easy day ahead of us. Not even a little bit.
I hope you had a good night's sleep then.
Yeah, I had a good night's sleep. Core just says this, he just kind of gets a little bit a faraway look, just kind of thinking about how he woke up in pajamas.
Someone undressed me.
Out of these 4 kids, which ones do you think could handle themselves best without you?
I think Ellery is the best equipped. Pretty street smart, very, very smart. Has some magic. Aliel for a street kid is got some richer tastes. I think she might get bored in the Green Ward and start heading back into the city at some point. So I think she might put herself at risk in doing so. Corbish is he's Corbish. Very afraid of everything, very mousy. I think where he is, he might get a little spooked eventually. Could also put himself at harm. Priya's pretty solitary. As long as she's found a place that's comfortable, she probably will stay put. So I think Corbish or Aliel are probably the most likely to go somewhere and get in the trouble. With Priya and Ellery, probably the longest lasting on their own.
I actually have experience with the Green Ward slums. I know the areas outside the walls somewhat well. Granted, that's on the other side of the city, but I've been there more than a few times, not just for travel.
And just to clarify, looking at the map, it's District 1 would be like the northern one, and then clockwise in order? Okay.
Correct.
Well, if we go from here, we could head to the 4th District first, then over to the 5th, and then head outside the city to the southeast. That would get us 3 of them fairly quickly. We'd have to backtrack a lot to go to the northwest, though.
And to specify, I will get you guys a new map for Geliath shortly. It's in the works. But so the 4th district, which has that big teal green square in it, that's the Octopus Arena. And
That's
the
like right at the border of the slums.
Yeah, it's right up against the outer wall. Because the outer wall there, it is in fact a huge reinforced glass panel that allows everyone in the slums to watch the Octopus games. But
Or actually might have experience with that then.
probably
I mean, that's generally a pretty nice thing to do.
the two roads that leave the city, the area in between them, that is the Green Ward. So it's literally all like 4 or 5 in the Green Ward are all touching.
Okay, so they're all really close.
They are. But it also means that the areas are very heavily dense with population. The reason why I hadn't ever used it. Like, of Geliath, which is for a medieval city, it's very, very populous heavy. It's like about 1 million people. It's so dense. Outside the city walls and the slums in the Green Ward, where it is one of the areas where it is the most consistent place to get food when you're starving, it is even more dense than any other part of the slums, and it's the smallest area. So lots of people.
Lots of people trying to be fed.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a food incentive there, then Core absolutely knows the location.
There is a food incentive.
Yeah, Core, I think, is going to say, I know my way around the Octopus Arena. The sport's never really been my thing, but I know it's absolutely been other people's things, and I've seen a game or two. Then maybe I can find a way in. I'm sure you know a way in, Atner. But the Green Board, I'm pretty confident we can get to Aliel. 5th District in the Northwest, Fisher's Ward. I don't really know the ward. I don't really know the docks too well. Well, I know them a little better than some, but dock work isn't really, actually, Core kind of thinks on this. I think I've done a job or two out there.
It's not uncommon for smugglers to use the docks.
Yeah, that's why I was just thinking. Of course, just using it out loud.
So
I'm trying to also think of like what he would know.
Is there any objections to going to the 4th District for Priya, the 5th for Corbish, and then outside to the Green Ward for Eliel? If Alori, like you said, is one of the ones that could handle herself.
Yeah, she'll be fine for a little bit. Out of all of them, she's probably the most capable in the streets. I guess fair warning, Cora mentioned it, but I'm gonna bring the point up, which is the Octopus Arena, you can't just walk in. It's lousing with security. They keep the place really tight because a lot of people try to sneak in and steal things because, I don't know why, want balls or something, I don't know. But the place is very well guarded. That's also part of the reason why I sent Priya there in the first place.
Those
Other
balls
than
go for a lot.
Well, I mean, yeah, but whatever. People are weird. Yeah, it's not just something you'll be able to walk up to the front and, ask to have a tour. You don't really do that. You could wait for a game and go in then and try to sneak around, or you can just try to break in, on-off hours. But then the guards will be a bit more keen to try to spot people that don't belong. So, fair warning.
How did Priya get in?
I bribed one of the guards. I had to steal quite a bit of money to do it, but got her in there.
I think I can get us in.
And if you think so.
I'm going to change my mind at that. I know so.
Yelena's going to kind of look to the adjutants that are in the room and just ask, I don't suppose any of your connections would be able to get us in a bit easier?
You just see Rain look towards the doorway at nobody, who is still, he's now stepped inside and he's just standing off to the side reading from a book. And he doesn't look up, and you could tell, given the fact that you've had a voice in your head already, you could sort of tell that Rain is having a communique for a moment. And then Rain speaks up. Yeah, we know a guy. We can probably get you access. It's probably going to require a little bit of performance. Guy has a bit of an ego, so you probably have to entertain him for a little bit if you want inside. This isn't just a go in, walk around on your own free time kind of bit. But yeah, we know a guy.
Won't be the most degrading thing that I do.
Well, as long as you can make a guy who thinks is really important feel even more important, you'll be fine.
Yelena just sighs.
Yeah, I know.
It sounds like that would be the easiest way in without risking some kind of guard coming after us while we're in the act.
It's an idea. So, anyone else got any thoughts?
Not really.
In that case, is it going to take time for us to find this contact of yours, or are they just somebody we can walk up to?
There'll have to be an appointment scheduled. But I'm sure we can, and Rain looks over at nobody, who has not moved from his position. She just has a moment. I'm sure we can, expedite it with some, pleasantries. She has a moment, like, stumbling through that. Around 2? Is when we can have something arranged. If you recall, it's still quite early in the morning.
It's around 2. We might be able to go to the 5th district and possibly outside the city first and then go there last.
You have 7 hours between now and 2 p.m.
That's more than enough time.
Would we be meeting them at the arena then?
Another pause. Yep, that's what it sounds like.
In that case, we should get going in case there's any hitches.
All right. Well, you know where to find me if you need anything.
Mm-hmm.
And just grabs her hammer and slings it over his shoulder and just kind of strides out of the room.
I think Cora's gonna approach nobody.
Mm-hmm. There is no acknowledgement upon your approaching.
So I heard you have a stand-up routine.
No response.
About the other night.
Still nothing.
I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate it.
And then you hear a voice. If there are memories you would prefer to forget, I could facilitate that.
Why would you want to forget?
Because they cause you a great deal of pain.
If I just forgot everything that's ever caused me pain, then I don't know. What would be the point?
You would be substantially weaker than you already are.
Then why suggest it if it's just gonna make me weaker?
Because I wanted to see what kind of person you were.
I mean, I guess. Cord just like looks at him and begins to ponder.
Meanwhile, while Core ponders,
Yes.
Pops goes to everyone. Are you sure you have everything? Do you need another jacket? Or maybe some food for the road? I've brought some snacks with me. Are you keeping warm? This is literally just to like everybody individually at some point.
Haba will take a jacket.
Okay.
So I remember he gave away his poncho.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Silly boy, you can't be doing that. And just like puts it over your shoulders, like just parents you to death. Straightens it, make sure all the buttons are right. Check your hair a little.
They're just kind of like staring at him as he approaches and starts asking what she needs. Just kind of like both slightly open, like she has no idea how to respond to this.
Well, it's fine if you don't need anything now. So everyone's aware. If you need anything, just ask. Along with need money for anything, bribes and what have you.
Some spare coin probably wouldn't hurt, just in case.
Yeah, pulls the drawstring on his coin purse on his belt, and opens it up, looks inside. So, what were you thinking? And he reaches in and pulls out a handful of platinum. It's just 5 platinum pieces. Would this be good to start with?
Blinks a couple times, not really expecting this man to be carrying platinum. I think that would do for just about anything we'd try.
Well, very good. No amount of coin is enough to make sure these kids get brought back.
She nods.
And he'll hand you the 5 platinum pieces.
I'll be sure to return it if we don't use it.
For those of you that forgot, Pops prior to becoming a philanthropist was a very successful businessman. And then he downgraded everything about his life and started spending all of his money on caring for kids. So he's got a bit of a slush fund, if you will.
She'll look to the others. Is everyone ready to head out then?
More or less, yeah. I am now. I'm nice and toasty.
Make sure you stop to eat. Don't, you will lose your energy.
Don't worry. We got snacks.
Make sure you check the roads before you cross.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's being a little overprotective than you normally expect of Pops. Like,
actually, do you have a thermos for my coffee?
Well, I don't, but I know there's one in the cabinet here. And he goes over to the little small kitchenette and like goes in one of the cabinets. And he pulls it down and he looks across the room to nobody, and you don't hear anything, but then it was just like, oh, okay, and yeah, here you go. I think we can even top that off for you.
Oh, that would be great, yeah. I think I'm gonna have to be reining in Hobbit more than usual today. That's not very nice, but yeah, probably. If I'm being honest.
Oh, don't let my my pandering keep you. You have very important work to be doing. And he just kind of lets out a big sigh and then just like straightens himself up and like, just be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Poor finally asked nobody a question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever just lost track of yourself?
When I was younger. It is no longer a flaw I have.
Is it why would you say it's a flaw?
Lose oneself is to lose one's identity.
But do you know yourself?
That is the question.
you said some things the other night that I was thinking a bit about with that. I think I need to look at that question too. Maybe we can both come to an answer of some kind, I think. Maybe.
Maybe.
I'd like to talk on it again, but I gotta get going. I gotta find these kids.
As you should. Danger is closing around them.
Yeah, you're telling me.
I am.
You
I
was
mean-
like halfway through the door, waiting for people to show that they're ready to leave.
Yeah, Core just like begins walking away and mutters something underneath his breath about like, first to erase my memories. Why can't he just give me the best like solution to like killing one of these things instead? I like to imagine he just actually says that. Of course, like, look at him. He's got a sense of humor.
I mean, actually, yeah, I'll roll with that. Anyway, you will make your way out, gathering all of your goods and equipment.
Leaving the dogs in the orphanages and or Pops' care.
Yes. Hala and Pena will be left behind with Pops, but the care will be promised that they will. You will find them here at the orphanage, should you ever need them.
Excellent.
Um,
I'm sure the kids will have fun playing with dogs.
mm-hmm. They are very well behaved.
Yep.
When you are brought back outside, in the still yet dark morning, you see there is a carriage already waiting out front. There is a familiar red-haired adjutant waiting at its side with the door open. It is Smiles. Oh. Convenient timing. You need a ride?
Yes, actually, we were just heading out.
Oh, well then, by all means, take the carriage. I just got here. And, you know what, in fact, he reaches into a belt pouch, and extends a hand back up to the driver and hands him a nondescript amount of coins that you can't see. But the driver nods very enthusiastically in response. Feel free to take Edgar, with you wherever you need to go today. It's on me.
It's very generous.
Oh, you're doing a good thing. So, shelling out some money to make sure you keep doing the good thing is the least I can do.
Oh, can you do me a favor?
I mean, I'll do my best.
Pass his message along to Quill for me.
Alright.
Tell him I'm going to be late with picking up those ashes.
Sure. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to hear that. he won't be thrilled to hear that.
He's like, an old person living inside of a young person's body.
That's a very apt way to describe an elf, yes. Granted, I think Quill's even old for an elf. Inside. He's still only like a couple centuries old, I think.
Yeah, I bet he spent maybe about 3 of them living inside of a closet reading a book or something. Anyway. That's all I got.
I'll make sure to pass along all of that to Quill.
Sure.
Banner, was there a specific school that you had hiding at?
You mean the 5th district?
Yes.
The whole district is one big damn school. The particular hall that I sent Corbish to, it had a really particular symbol on it. And he'll just sort of like on the palm of his hand, sort of just draw the figure with his finger. And it's round here. I'll just there's a circle, and there's a square, and there's a bunch of pieces that attach it together. And a bunch of fancy arcane writing, none of which I can read. And very crudely, looks a bit like that. If you reference my weapon.
Yeah. She'll look at it for a moment. I don't think Yelena spent a lot of time in that district. She's probably going to look to the others, see if they recognize it. Also, maybe Cole smiles over to take a look.
I'll take an Arcana check. Or a history check.
I'll have Core roll something here. Arcana or history?
Okay. I mean, between the two of you, Yelena, you're not familiar with the district, but the symbol isn't too unusual. Well, you don't know exactly what it might belong to or why it's there, but you do know there are elements to it that speak to you of conjuration magic. So, if this is a big school ground dedicated to magic users, you suspect it might be a place where they specifically study or specialize in conjuration. Or you would have seen this at one time passing in from the Green Ward going into the city. The district, the 5th district, is very busy, and it's really easy to occasionally swipe lunch money off of students who aren't paying attention because they're very caught up in everything else going on. So for better or worse, when you need to survive, it's really easy to score a couple of coins there. So you've probably passed by the particular Hall of Conjuration.
Core says, yeah, I think I remember this.
Remember where it is well enough to tell the carriage driver where to go?
Yeah, I think I remember where it is. It's down by the Green Ward. South. I remember I knew another halfling by the name of Velbo way back when. Loved to pick on the nerds. Always went for the loose change. Just because some of them are kind of hapless.
Sounds like a charming individual.
Well, I mean, they're dead now, so yeah.
It's not going to say anything to that. Just going to get into the carriage.
All climb into the carriage.
I mean, this was like maybe 10, 11 years ago. Well, the point is, it was just easy money. And if you got loose pockets, word spreads fast.
Edgar, the carriage driver, will slat open the window to the driver's seat. So have you decided where you are going?
Cora will give directions to, because this is where we're deciding to go first, right? Or
Interesting, because the 4th district is something that's going to happen later, so we're just going to go to the 5th district first, I think.
okay, yeah. Cora will give the directions to where he believes the location is.
Okay. Very well. And once the door is shut, your journey to the 5th district will begin. The carriage you were...
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Cora was just gonna, like, shout out to Smiles before the door shut. Oh, and tell him thanks.
Mm-hmm. You get a smile and a wave as the carriage pulls away. While this carriage is not of the Pegasus Flight taxi company, it is still a fairly nice one. It's not extravagant, but it is comfortable. There is a small area where there are pre-packaged snacks for individuals. And the interior is clean and smells nice, but you do feel the bumps in the road occasionally. The luxury of the other taxi cab company that you've used. But the speed you seem to make is pretty good. Going to the 5th district does take you a significant chunk of time, however. The better part of 4 hours. Over the course of that long trek, the sun begins to rise high into the sky, and you leave the dark early morning into a brighter and much warmer sunny day. And for the record, by much warmer, I mean it's like 6 degrees Celsius, so like in the 40s. But it's sunny with a little bit of cloud, with like only a little bit of clouds, so it's not bad. It could be much worse. It's, you know, it's not like pushing freezing like it was the day before.
It's good.
But you arrive into the 5th district, sometimes referred to as the Academy District, where you see hundreds of people that you pass by in the carriage, dressed in the light blue gray robes of the Academy of... I'm going to get it completely wrong because it's long and necessary. Hang on, let me pull up the the Academy of Knowledge and Renaissance, where the Circle Head, a relatively famous mage, thought to spread the use of magic to any and all who desired to learn it. But for the most part, for people who are underprivileged, they look at the school as a bit of a sham, and that they tend to charge pretty exorbitant prices for what is pretty average schooling. Despite the fact that the owner of the Academy, the Circle Head that owns the district, probably argue against it otherwise. The district is always busy, most of which is filled with students, but there are handfuls of individuals that are not dressed as such, but clearly have purpose here. The guards here, otherwise known as the Violet Sentries, due to their violet distinguished armor, which is trimmed in the same blue as the Academy robes, basically campus police. You see walking up and down the streets, patrolling things, occasionally speaking to some of the students, one of which you kind of see in a very antics-filled moment, just sort of crossing by on the carriage as one is chasing a group of students running across an open, small little green open field in a small park area. But it seems very non-violent. It just seems a little goofy. Eventually, you will come to a halt outside a large gray stone building that is 12 stories tall, ending in a spire on the top. And on the front of it, embossed in black stone, raised and painted gold, is the symbol that Hatner, mimed on his palm. And in front of you is the Hall of Conjuration, where there's currently just a gaggle of students, kind of, the classic kids outside the high school entrance before class starts look. About a bit over around 24 students, just sort of meandering in small groups, talking to one another while they're in between classes. Yeah, it just kind of does an awkward moment of, what do we do now? I was here when there was way less people.
We'll just fit in. Easy.
Hubba slowly pulls out a pair of glasses to wear. Look smarter.
Do you remember where you hit him?
Well, yeah, it was on one of the sub-levels.
Okay. Do you know how we get there?
Well, yes.
Alright.
It's through a sewer grate on the backside of the street here. But I did it when there weren't hundreds of eyes everywhere.
Okay. I got an idea. Do you think there's Cord looks to the driver?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a room beneath your carriage?
He just kind of nods. Yes, I mean not to stand or anything crazy, but
just enough to get on her. Enough to get on her belly.
Yes, of course.
All right. We can use the carriage as cover. And if you're worried about someone seeing us still, I'm sure somebody can make something of a distraction.
All right. Can't say I agree with it. Very well. Let's go with your plan.
Who's saying that the kid?
Yep.
Well, what would you do?
Wait until dark, but time.
Well, if you want, we could just try and do it in broad daylight without the wagon. Or we
Well-
can try to find some other way down there.
That just seems like the less intelligent choice, doing something in broad daylight. I was just hoping that all of you fancily dressed people weren't just also like common thieves like I was and had more intelligent ways to get into hard to go places. But well, I guess my expectations were a little bit too high.
I mean, if you want, we could try something fun. And try to go in through the buildings to the subterranean area. The only thing is I don't really know anything about the actual layouts of these places. All I can tell you is, like, about over there is where those thefts like to happen. Wonder if they still happen.
Yeah, probably. The point is, I've given you my information. How we get in is up to you, all of you, given how many there are of you.
Queen! You.
Sam, I think on mute.
Sorry, that was me. I said I think personally we should hit a setback for Core getting knocked over during the commercial break.
He fell into the sewer, and now he has to be saved. Core just says, "Got any ideas?"
On how to save you?
No, on how to
What?
get to the subterranean area here.
Oh. Do we got a map? Swim! You're in a sewer. There's water there.
We could try talking our way in. Not exactly sure how security is around here, whether only students are allowed into the buildings or not.
Then, we're students. Easy.
Do you have a uniform?
I'm a
Second
degenerate.
pair of glasses, but I just had the second pair. It was more for a narrow in case you wanted to match, but he wasn't too keen on it. So if any of you would like the glasses, here. I'm just holding them out.
I don't think glasses is enough to get us in the door.
Core is going to take the glasses and he's going to put them on.
Hatner just puts
I know a good
his head in his
disguise till I
hands.
see one.
Core takes his hat off and just says, "All right."
Probably comb your hair, Core. It's very messy, not very scholarly.
A little like this.
No, like this, and I'm a part of the other way. You should really use a detangler when you
Shouldn't be that
when you
hard
shower.
to get in. All right. Can I make a knowledge check to know anything about the school, its curriculum, and any of the classes whatsoever?
All right, you're going for a bit of a big reach.
Can I roll a d100?
So you can, you know what? We'll come to that bridge if we have to cross it. Sure, why not? If you want to.
All right.
Please be another one.
You tried to learn school here. You had to fight the superintendent. Let's go!
Unsurprisingly, you don't know jack about higher learning.
Okay. I don't know anything about higher learning, but do I
Nope.
know anything about the school?
No, not with that roll.
Can I make this check?
You can either make a check, or you could also blow a fate dice trying to magically learn things.
I was hoping to.
Last time I rolled a fate dice, something happened though.
Don't use your fake dice here. I wanted a meme.
And it didn't even work.
Well,
It
you know what
didn't
they
even
say.
work.
You know what they say, Core? You fake it till you make it.
Oh, we're screwed. We're absolutely screwed.
All right, let's go. Core is just
I
gonna.
mean, I could also just pull my handy dandy. I know someone.
Nah.
Does
I mean,
that
or
work
unless
here?
you want to.
I mean, it's just a thing she has. She can use it once per long rest. So
Sure, if you want.
I mean, it's not a waste. That's all I can say.
Go for it.
Sorry, SpongeBob in the background. I apologize.
Yeah, let Sam do something cool.
What is it? Her friends in... Yeah, friends in low places. So what do you want me to roll?
This is a toughie. I think we're gonna have to do a mildly abbreviated I know a guy.
Okay.
So let's do we're just gonna roll through that. Roll a D100 dice.
Okay, we'll roll a D100.
We're gonna see what that relationship looks like.
It's an 82.
It's pretty good. We're gonna go with it's a client of yours, but it is one that pays you a decent sum of money to keep it on the down low. A professor that belongs to the academy. They pay you a good amount of money to keep your involvement with them very quiet. Mostly so his wife doesn't find out.
Yeah, it is.
It is an older gentleman, a mid-50s human, fair skin, salt and pepper hair, like a slightly less attractive George Clooney.
Oh, no.
But with all the facial hair.
Okay.
He is a professor here, except he is not a professor at the Hall of Conjuration. He is a professor at the Hall of Evocation. But he could have some leverage. So you could either go visit him, or you could try to throw his name around and see what that gets you.
She smiles and looks over at the group and says, "So I know someone that actually works here at the Hall of Evocation. We could either A, go pay him a visit, or we can ask around about him. Although I'm feeling you guys want to be a little bit more discreet than that."
You know what?
Oh.
I don't mind just throwing around this random person's name if you just want to see what happens.
You want to get down? Okay.
Talking to Core. Do you want to get
Core
down
gets
for
picked
it?
out of the high chair.
That's core for you.
Yeah, no, Core doesn't want to be carried anymore. You gotta take him out of the
He's done with being big.
out of the baby carrier.
I think you need to change me.
Okay, hold on. Here, can you throw this away? Thank you. Go throw it
You're
away.
saying, can you throw this away as Core's holding his grenade?
Give me just one moment.
Good grief.
Quick, someone break away into an ad break.
Ah,
Hey, Haba, how do you keep your cooking instruments so stainless steel shiny?
Well, you see, what I do is I save a little bit of that blood from whenever we're done monster hunting, right? And I just shine it with the blood of an ooze.
I don't like where this ad is going.
I didn't
This
either,
is
but you
now
asked.
ad for a taser.
I don't think oozes have blood.
certain ones do.
All right, I apologize.
A blood ooze has blood.
Yeah,
All right, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think that ad break was like a 2.
I
Yeah,
think
no, it
was
wasn't great.
really
I
bad
don't know
too
what I
as
was-
well.
We got to work on our
I-
improv skills.
You know,
I wasn't expecting to get thrown into that, and yeah,
Why was the first thing that went to your mind ooze blood?
I don't know.
Blood of my enemies. That's how I keep my pots and pans so shiny.
Yeah.
Anyway, Estella's back. Yay, we can step away from that thing.
So
She-
happy that she didn't have to deal with it.
Estella will, scrunch up her nose and say, I do still want to keep him as my client because he does pay a good money. So, I don't think throwing his name around is the best idea.
No,
And
why
plus,
don't?
we want an in. If we want an in, we should be a little more discreet about it.
Well, and then you're gonna have to leave this show.
We
Sure.
could just walk in the front door like we belong and hope that nobody realizes that we don't. And if they do, we can use the name as a backup.
That is true. We could use his name as a backup.
I mean, how hard is it gonna be to believe that we're running an errand for him? Listen, if you just act natural, no one's gonna question you.
Well, here's to hoping it works then. Let's just make our way into the evocation hall.
We gotta be here though, don't we?
The
Which
Hall
is
of Conjuration
okay.
is where Corbish is.
Yeah, Corbish is here in the Hall of Conjuration. I mean, like, I'm sure he's got some weight here, right?
Well, he's a professor. So, I mean, he's got weight in general, but this isn't his hall, so maybe not as much seniority here as other places.
Which is why I think we should pay him a visit, because he could help us find some way to get through here without problem.
Alright, well then...
And throwing his
let's-
name around and saying we're running an errand probably won't work that well here.
Alright, well then, you know where he is, I would hope, so... why don't we do that?
If everyone's down for
Sure.
that.
Changing
Alright, then,
halls
let's-
is that far.
You said changing halls isn't that far.
Yeah, going to the Hall of Evocation, it's like just 2 blocks over.
So,
Oh, that's not bad.
Stella, I got a question for you.
Hmm.
Does he have like a pet name for you or something?
Does he?
Are you his little fireball?
I don't ever want you to say that to me ever again.
Core just has a terrible grin on his face.
So the question is, does he have a nickname for Estella? And does Estella want me to tell it to you so you can talk about it in character? Or would you rather just not know so that way people can't try to weaponize it against you?
She's not gonna let Core know at all, because she's not gonna give him the opportunity.
Don't give me ammo.
Exactly. She just goes, shrugs, and she goes, I think it's this way.
Alright.
Alright.
Well, you'll make your way there. Passing by the, again, numerous students that are very easily distracted. Core stories kind of lining up with that, based off of just some are reading books, some are carrying just loads of goods that seem unreasonably too heavy for one person to carry. Several groups are talking amongst one another. You see the classic multiple people flirting with one another, and one person being completely not interested. Other times you have couples that are swooning over one another. It's just a whole thing. And the whole district is very magical. There are familiars flying about. There's casual use of low-level magics here for fun. Of course, classically will also be used to like harass particular students, like blowing people's robes around or parachuting people, where someone will use a mage hand to tie the bottoms of someone's robe to their shoes, and then someone will gust of wind fill that into a sail, and it'll blow them back like 10-15 feet. Bunches, just when you cram together a bunch of mages together that are all relatively young, you see a lot of goofy things happening. Eventually,
mage hands.
You will it's a couple blocks down, about 3 blocks over, another enormous building. This district is just towered. Another 12-story building that is almost identical to the Hall of Conjuration, except the symbol outside is different. It is segmented into 4 pieces, and then has 12 different pieces on the outside of that one. So it's basically a circle with 12 diamonds on the outside, all of which are colored slightly differently. The centerpiece of the 4 broken up pieces being red, blue, yellow, and green. This is the Hall of Evocation, which is more busy than the Hall of Conjuration. There are several people moving in and out, about twice as many students loitering outside. Clearly, Evocation's much more popular than Conjurations. But there's still a matter of going to see the professor, air quotes. Of which, for your reference, Stella, I've put a small little note of the I know a guy for you in the Roll20 chat. So you may add it to your notes. That way you constantly remember this guy should he ever come up.
I think Baby was being particularly angry at the moment.
Mhm.
I heard him yelling downstairs.
Angry
so she
child.
might- Yeah.
Is this how that be?
I gotcha. I'll put it in my sheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume
Yeah.
you're listening.
Yes, I got my headphones in.
Other than the throng of students here, it is the goal to enter and speak to said professor. Is that really weirdly?
Believe so.
Right. So, as you guys climb up the large set of stairs leading up to the entrance, which is a large open area, flanked by pillars on either side, a couple of statues of very obvious mages decorate in between, in grand positions with magical spells carved out of stone, in detail that is very fine and exquisite. When you get onto the landing and look further down into the hallway, you can see there is a small queue that is formed on either side where there are violet sentries checking students before allowing them into the building. There are 4 sentries at this checkpoint, 1 on either side that's doing the checking, and then 2 that are in the middle that are just kind of overseeing and watching things. They do notice the group of you as you were the 2 in the middle. There's an obvious. They look down the way, they regard you, but they don't really make any maneuvers to be bothered about addressing you, since they're obviously very busy at this time of day.
Look at how I'm dressed. I'm a student, clearly.
Oh, I mean, obviously.
Well, I think if there's ever a time to wave around, this would be the time.
Seems like it to me. Go on, work your magic.
Sure. She'll walk up.
One of the sentries will turn. Miss, how can I help you?
Hello, yes, I am here to speak to Xavier White.
Does the professor have an appointment with you?
Yes.
Very well. Allow me just to confirm this with him. Can I have a name so he knows who's contacting him?
Moonblood. Estella Moonblood.
Very well. Give me a moment, please.
Mm-hmm.
And he steps back. He goes off to the side, just past the checkpoint, where you see there's a series of gemstones that are inside a box that he opens up, and he puts his hand up against one, and you see him mouthing something. And then after a moment, he nods, closes the box, and comes back over. All right, Miss Moonblood, you have been cleared. The professor is expecting you. Please step through. And he opens up the gate and allows you entry.
Thank you so much.
I'm
And
assuming
she
you know
will
how to make your way there?
Yes. Right around the corner, right?
Yes, ma'am. Down the hall, his office is the one on the end in the faculty suite.
Thank you so much. She waves everybody over.
Mm-hmm.
Core will follow.
Yeah, the two sentries just kind of like stare at all of you as you move through the checkpoint. It's like very professional, but there's a moment where one stops and looks at Core like, and then they just close the gate.
What a weird party he's having.
Yeah,
I'm going to spread rumors about this.
absolutely.
Oh, nice. That's funny.
Core doesn't say anything. Core just gets like a goofy smile and then just pushes his glasses up to his nose.
Wait, he still has those glasses? That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think
He's
just
like,
to
"I'm
get
taking
a
this real
stir
quick."
out of Hatner, he like makes like a pig oinking sound, kind of like, you know, like he starts a little bit too hard or something like that.
Hatner struggles to keep his composure. As he too also gets a bit of a long look from one of the guards. And then he just, like, trying to stop his laughing from your snort, he just kind of, like, speedily walks by. And then around the corner, when you guys are finally out of sight, he actually just begins chuckling out loud.
The guards are like two children with that group. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. He's talking to his coworker. They get younger and younger every day. It's just... How'd we get stuck with this job? Because, Mark, you don't have any talent for magic. Now shut up and write your report.
That's so funny, my god.
Don't bully Mark.
He didn't do
Yeah.
anything wrong to you.
He's just doing his job. He's just doing his job.
Everybody use your charisma tokens on Mark. Make him strong.
You all know Mark.
There we
You
go,
all
Mark.
go.
That's great.
You all go to see Mark after work, where he's trying to drink himself asleep at a bar. It's very sad.
She
Well,
pats his back.
Talked about
They're
this.
there now.
You're better than this, Mark.
We believed in you.
Don't let it take control of your life.
Anyway, down the hallway, very long hallway, several doors, pretty busy. Students, like, it's not nowhere near as packed as the other places, but you know, you pass in a handful of students here or there. A couple of obvious staff members who are bedecked in purple and gold-trimmed robes, very stylish. But you can tell by their age and their seniority and the way they carry themselves that they are teachers and professors here. At the end of the hallway, you reach a door where there's a glass pane window that's frosted over, and you see on the name, Head Professor of the Hall of Evocation, Xavier White.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, he's the head professor. Okay.
Yep.
It gets better. The plot thickens.
This is all you, Estella.
Right. And she goes up to the door and she knocks on it.
The door swings open effortlessly. And you see sitting behind his desk, human male. Again, relatively handsome. As I said, a slightly less handsome George Clooney. Salt and pepper hair, a pretty full, thick beard mustache combo. Very well groomed. And he looks up with a bright, beaming smile that dims just a little when he sees the gaggle of people that are behind Estella. And he stands up, composing himself. Yes, Miss Moonblood, how may I be of assistance to you today?
May we come in? I'd like to talk about something personal.
Very well, please. All of you come in. It might be a little cramped.
I like to imagine, like, as Estella comes in, Hatner comes in behind him and behind her, and Cora comes in behind also, and like maybe the first thing he's running through his head is like, "Oh no, children." It makes no sense in context because
Not at all, or timeline, or any of that.
Or timeline.
They're also too short. If they had Estella's genes, they'd be like almost half her height by now.
And have dark skin.
That too. Nice cool ears.
Mm-hmm.
The darkest timeline.
That darkest
Womp,
timeline, I hate it.
That being said, you all go into his very nice office. It's got a small sitting area. It's got a window that looks out onto a small interior courtyard, which has a really beautiful fountain piece with this huge floating blue crystal gemstone that just hovers above the fountain, and it magically produces its own water, and that's where it flows from. There are just students walking around. As expected with any professor, he has many tall, thick, full bookshelves that line all behind his desk. A sitting room with 2 couches, a nice table, a small little area off to the side that has a very, very expensive looking tea set sitting on it. And next to that is a tiny little frosted glass cabinet that, for the more discerning eye, definitely know to be something where you contain very fine spirits. But he will welcome you all in, being a very gracious host, and once the last one is in, the door will swing shut behind you all, and then you will hear a lock. Please, make yourselves at home. Have a seat. Would any of you like some tea?
Take some tea.
Very well, of course. And he'll snap his fingers, and you'll see some runes along the teapot begin to glow, and steam will begin producing from the spout. You just give it a minute or two, it'll be ready. In the meantime, we can speak about what has brought you here.
Before Estella starts speaking, she kind of looks back to the party and she just points at the teapot all excited, like, you see that? That's so cool.
She's never seen magic before. She's never seen a magical teapot before.
Probably not.
A magical teapot specifically.
To be fair, have you?
Yeah, that's how you can tell rich people apart. They have teapots that make their own tea.
Exactly. See what I'm saying?
Not like the poor people that have to boil their own water and then put tea in the pot. Nope. This guy snaps his fingers, makes its own tea.
I feel personally attacked.
You should.
She straightens up her demeanor, and then she looks back at Xavier and she goes, there's a matter that we need to attend to. What was the name of the hall again?
Hall of Conjuration.
We need entry to the Hall of Conjuration.
And might I inquire as to the specifics of this need?
Well, of course. I am nothing but honest with you, aren't I?
As expected.
She smiles and says, there is a... You said Corbish is in there, right?
Yeah.
And we
Corbish is...
Okay.
He's hidden, but he's in there.
There is a child who's been hidden in that hall. His name is Corbish. And we simply just want to bring him to safety.
I'm gonna need you to make a persuasion check.
Yeah, for sure.
This is a really weird thing just to come to. Like, could you imagine like coming to a school teacher and be like, "So there's a child hidden on the school grounds here, and we need you to let us go find him."
And then he's just like, "What?
Yeah,
What are you talking about?" Okay, let me see. Let me look at my features real quick before I make this roll. Nah, I'm not gonna use that feature. That's fine. Persuasion. Let's go. Oh. You know, it do be like that sometimes.
It do be like that.
You do have inspiration to use if you want.
You do have 1 point. You could choose to reroll.
Yeah, I'll choose to reroll. Right? Why not? This is kind of important.
Burn that point.
I'll use it. Let's see what happens here.
I mean, that was a 2. Like to remind everybody. Wow. That's a huge turnaround.
A 2 and then a 20. High five.
He gestures with a hand, and the teapot in the tray with all the very finely decorated cups floats over, lands on the desk in front of him, and it begins pouring itself. Once a cup is full, the first one will float over to Estella, and then to anyone who basically raises a hand, a cup will float over to you. A child that has been left on the grounds unattended. This sounds like a very serious matter.
It is quite indeed serious, but I promise you, it wouldn't have been done if it wasn't for his safety.
I believe you. He stops, looks at pulls a pocket watch out of his coat pocket. I have some time before my class. I can escort you to the hall, and get you inside as necessary. Do you happen to know where the child is?
She turns, one moment. She turns to Hatner and asks, do you know exactly where he is?
Hatner just shrugs. He's gonna be somewhere in the building. I didn't expect him to stay put.
Oh.
I mean, he's got to get food. He's got to get food and find comfortable places to sleep. He was gonna move eventually.
No, of course, of course. She turns back around and says, we just know he's in the hall. Where exactly it would be a little bit more difficult, but I'm sure once we get in there, we could find him.
Very well. Give me a moment, and I will prepare myself to leave. In the meantime, please enjoy your tea. I will be just a moment.
Yes, of course, thank you. She adds milk and honey to her tea.
The tea is exquisite, by the way. It's very, very fun.
Heck yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's floral, and it's a little bit spiced, so it's got like a bit of clove and black pepper.
Ooh,
nice. It's real nice. Very refined.
She just kind of thinks to herself, I knew I kept him around for a reason.
Oh yeah, like he is a very, very talented and well-renowned mage. Like, yeah, the man's got some skills.
Yeah, he does.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So were we in here for like at least a minute?
Yes.
Okay. Would I have been able to size him up?
Yep.
I just want to compare his level of spell slots to Quill and Nobody.
Okay, so you're doing a double spell slot tap, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for Quill, he is equal.
Okay.
To Nobody, he is inferior.
If Nobody is coming in clutch, my god.
Okay, so he's Quill's equal. All right. That's pretty important to know. All right.
I mean, Nobody did literally offer to wipe your memory earlier. I think that at least gives you a small clue.
Yeah, I think so.
But a few minutes will pass by as you all indulge in your tea and enjoy the fine view into the courtyard. Watching as that large, crystalline fountain will begin to change colors as it slowly rotates. Just a marvel of magical architecture and design. Very pretty. But eventually, he'll finish his preparations, which is he'll toss on his robe, which is purple, but trimmed in a thread that changes colors based off of how the light hits it. These are the robes that head professors wear. And he has a small leather briefcase that he picks up off the side of his desk, and steps up. We'll walk up next to Estella and then put an arm out for her to take, and then we'll look to everyone. If you all would please follow me, we will go to the Hall of Conjuration and see if we can't settle this matter of this missing child. And you all, with a little bit more purpose to your step, in the wake of Estella and Professor White, make your way out of the Hall of Evocation, where the students, but most importantly, the 2 sentries that let you through, stare at you like guffawed, like, really? What is happening here? And of course, all the students just whisper, just all kinds of crazy things as the group of you stroll by.
It's his long-lost family.
Yep, that was Estella showing up with all of his kids, all weirdly aged, 6 of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
This man lives a wild life, don't judge.
Hey, he likes tall women. That is not his fault.
No, it's not. Yeah, Estella's still taller than him, by the way. Like, that's important to know.
Stella's like that lady from Resident Evil.
Yes!
Fair.
Absolutely.
So, Estella is our Dami mommy. Gotcha.
I love it.
Well, you got to learn hold person at some point then. I feel like that'd be very important.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
I've got it for her.
Perfect. Oh, hang on. This is getting weird. I didn't, we're not going to, yeah, I was going to say something. I'll save it for after the game. It's probably not appropriate right now.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. But with a bit more purpose to your step, you stride out of the Hall of Evocation onto the sidewalk, where he hails one of the personal cabs in the 5th District for staff. It pulls up. This is not pulled by horses. It is magically enchanted, and it levitates. And a set of stairs materialize, and he helps Estella up, and then the rest of you are loaded in, but with a little less care and grace. And then you float off down the road. Eventually, and in a much shorter time, arriving back at the Hall of Conjuration, where, in a similar manner, you go up the steps, students whispering as they catch sight of the group, but mostly, and most certainly, about Estella and the professor. Because, well, you just know how students are. Eventually reaching the checkpoint, which is, again, much smaller than the Hall of Evocation. The sentries on duty there, seeing the professor arrive, both regarding him, giving him a polite salute, and the professor will just go, "Gentlemen, if you'd be so kind as to step aside, I have urgent business to attend to with my compatriots here. It is of the utmost importance and time sensitive, so if you would please," and he just waves a hand, "step aside." And they look between one another, they look back at the professor, and they just, the low level, the low ranking, employee just goes, "You know what? This is above our pay grade," and they swing the gate open and let you pass.
Nice.
You get inside, you walk to the center courtyard, which has a similar prismatic fountain like the Hall of Evocation. But this one, instead of a large spinning diamond in the middle, it has numerous globules of floating water that appear, drop a stream of water, vanish, and then are resummoned in different positions, refilling the fountain from different spots over and over again. you suspect every hall has a fixture fountain based off of the type of magic that the hall is about.
Ooh.
You get to the courtyard, and that's where the professor just has a moment where he stops and he looks at you, Estella. So where would you like to begin looking? The halls are all very large, and there are plenty of spaces for a child to hide.
That is a good point. Hatner, do you remember where you left them off, maybe?
Yeah, we, and now that the professor's here, he kind of looks away. Kind of broke into one of the sublevels, and hit him down there. Is a little less occupied. And that's when the professor has a moment where you see, like, the face and the muscles go really taut. In one of the sublevels. Are you out of your mind? Well, of course, you're a child. You have no idea what you've just done. And he composes himself. And then he looks squarely at Estella. The sublevels are where we, the staff, keep our experiments for our personal work. Any number of them could be highly volatile or dangerous. He could be in a million different pieces in a million different places if he stumbled into the wrong room.
Well, let's not worry about that now, and let's just go down there and look for him. I apologize greatly, and I promise I'll make it up to you. But for now, this is more important.
Let's see if this wizard is any good at Constitution saves, because he might blush. He doesn't. He keeps it under control.
Oh, good.
That was a natural 18. The man's got nerves of steel.
The man's unstoppable.
What a hero.
And we promise we'll keep your little experiment situation hushed up. Obviously. It's not our business, and we don't really care. We just want to help the child, okay?
Yes. Follow me. And he takes you to one of the leftmost hallways, and he takes you to the very end where it's just a wall. And then he stops, and he reaches into his robe pocket and pulls out a small symbol, which is an embossed version of the Hall of Evocation symbol. And he presses it up against the wall. And you see him speak a few words under his breath, and there's a pulse of magic that ripples across the wall, and this solid stone surface seems to be made out of liquid for a moment. And then it reforms itself until there's a doorway in front of you, and beyond that is a set of stairs. Now, if you would all please single file make your way down the stairs to the landing. Do not touch anything. Do not use magic. And for heaven's sake, do not do anything stupid if you can help it. And every single time he talks, when it is anything that sounds like it is condescending, it is literally talking to everyone else, and then he pointedly turns and talks to Stella after.
Core, I think, leans into Estella and, like, tugs on her leg slightly to get her attention.
She turns to you.
And he's gonna say very quietly, so, now might be a good time to mention the complication.
Refresh me out of character.
The fact that this child is being pursued by night hags.
Oh, yeah. She says, in a moment. But I'll bring it up.
And down you descend.
Yeah.
The further you go, magical lights are produced from underneath the stairs, illuminating the hallway. Eventually, after what feels like not too few minutes down the set of stairs, you do eventually arrive to a landing that has 3 ways, left, right, and forward, all of which there are very plain rows of doors. And Professor White just has a moment where he stops and he looks down the 3 ways and just sort of gestures. Well, here are all the various access to all the rooms. They are all magical X-dimensional spaces, many of which are larger on the inside than they appear to be as possible from the outside. All of which could provide very difficult and sometimes dangerous places to hide a child. And he kind of gives a glare to Hatner. And Hatner at this point is just like shrugging. Put signs on these things.
Do not break in. Very dangerous things.
That's what I'm saying.
I was thinking is there a way that maybe we can use either perception or insight checks or something to see if we see anything that Corvish could have left behind? Kind of show where he's gone?
I'll take either a perception check or an investigation check. I'll take the whole group. You guys can search the floor.
Sure.
Like literally just like looking at the hallways and the doors to see if there's just anything left. Any signs of people being here.
Can I use survival?
Sure. I'll take survival as well. Tracking seems reasonable.
Do perception. Oof.
I think I'm still going to roll investigation because even with the D4, it's not gonna match my modifier. Yeah, yeet. We'll blow inspiration.
Okay.
Much better.
Between Yelena and Kor, you all spend a bit of time combing over this floor. Again, it's just like you're on a landing, 3 separate directions, and then they curve off at the ends of those hallways, left and right, in a manner that they do not intersect, but they go on to a point where physically they should intersect, but do not. And very quickly, the professor's earlier warning about extra-dimensional spaces seems to make sense. However, on the left and right sides, when you hook right, so the furthest backwards you could go from the position you were standing in, they open up into large rooms filled with crates. And it is in both of these locations that Kor and Yelena, you both respectively find evidence of, in one location, Kor, the location of a spot where someone had set up crates to create a bit of a crawl space in the back corner, where there is a bedroll in remnants of just someone having been staying there for a period of time. There's empty food wrappers, a bit of extra like rations and stuff that have been saved, water skin, along with what looks like a recently printed comic book that you suspect was probably stolen from a student.
Nice.
What is the comic book of?
Vika the Dark Avenger.
I am so happy that you have something on hand immediately here. I'm gonna roll something for Core real quick.
Yeah. Fun fact: I have trading cards in my setting too.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
I don't think Core is very critical of Vika the Dark Adventure. He likes their counterpart more.
You probably. I feel like the criticism is you liked Vika prior to the current arc that made her into the Dark Avenger. She used to be a much brighter, happier hero, but she went dark after losing her arm, in a terrible circumstance that involved Abanus, the Dragon of Chaos. Fun fact: I'm not making this crap up. This is actually one of my player characters, one of my previous player characters. Player characters that hold themselves up to actually trying to be a classic hero. People make them in the trading cards and then turn them into comics. Like, it's just what certain people do because it allows them to have that sort of fantasy aspect, that life is actually better and the heroes do exist and might come save them. So it's a big industry in my setting. And Vika was one of my previous characters that was a monk, a Sun Soul monk, that went dark.
That's amazing.
Yep. Oh yeah, I live for this stuff. It was so good.
I think
I
I
love it.
understand why Core absolutely hates this. This sounds like something that he would absolutely hate pertaining to this.
Mm-hmm.
Core has no patience for fallen heroes.
Well, they weren't that good if they died.
Didn't die, just had an arm ripped
Oh.
off.
Oh.
One that
And
they
what else
couldn't
did they
gain
find?
back no matter how hard they tried. And they fell to darkness, and now they are a vigilante. In fact, they are actually a vigilante in this very city.
Oh?
There are multiple crimes that are reported all the time that are due to Vika's influence all around the country. Yeah, pretty brutal stuff.
Are they like a they turn bad guy, right? Or
Uh,
are they like
Think like Red Hood.
oh, so
Vigilante that believes they're doing good things, but does so through violence.
Anti-hero
That's,
kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
very anti-hero.
However, the other room where Yelena is, you have found evidence of several of the crates having been rummaged through for goods. Which, since you don't find any evidence of any of the goods that were taken here, you suspect they're probably in another location. And eventually, when you guys all meet back together, you guys can tie those two pieces of information together. But there is no direct or obvious evidence of Corbish himself, like his physical being here. You can definitely tell he's been here, but you don't know where he is. And Hatner, who was also participating in the search, spent more time looking directly for Corbish and had no.
Did he call out for Corbish? Maybe if Corbish hears his voice, he'll pop out.
He did.
Okay.
Since Hatner knows he's here with somebody with some authority, he's not afraid of getting in trouble. So yes, he was very loud and vocal.
Okay. That's strange that he wouldn't come out to your voice.
You might not be able to hear him if he's in one of these rooms, if they're not really rooms.
Some of these, the professor stops and sort of just like puts a hand on his chin. Some of these are gateways to other planes of existence. Some of these are to pocket dimensions, which have been created to mimic certain areas or likelinesses. Others are rooms with summoning circles capable of bringing forth demonic entities from the murk. Most of these places are not one you would want a child wandering into.
Estella looks over to Xavier and she says, "Look, I need you to try to do something. I need you to help rush things along because there are some night hags after this child." We
Let
don't
me
really
see.
have the time to waste right now.
I'm going to go through a spell list real quick. See if he actually has anything that might expedite this. Unfortunately, he is an evocation expert. You want someone with divination magic. That would be real useful.
Use the most powerful evocation spell in the game. Sending.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that because for some other reason, sending is evocation magic.
Yeah, that's a good spell.
Okay. Funnily enough, that is going to be the answer.
Nice.
He's going to stop,
Child.
realizing he doesn't have many options. He's going to look at Hatner, who he knows clearly is the one that's facilitated this, and be like, "All right, young man, I need you to explain to me in as great of detail as possible the image of this person, their personality, and any other details you know about him, so that I can form a picture in my own mind, so I may interact with him magically."
Actually, when Pops was talking to the gang with pictures, she took the pictures. So she has pictures of whatever kids had pictures.
Oh, that'll help too.
So she'd have a picture of Corbish ready in hand.
Provide one of the sketches.
Yeah.
He'll take it. he'll still insist on Hatner going through the whole spiel, and he'll stare at it and
No, of
listen to
course.
Hatner. It'll take a few minutes. Hatner is very descriptive. Very descriptive.
Good.
And then after a few minutes, Xavier straightens up, takes the paper, folds it into a very interesting, like origami fashion, like star almost, like an 8-point star. And then he holds it in his palm, and then he crushes it, and he closes his eyes, and then he opens them, and you see that they turn completely white, glowing. And then you begin to see his lips moving. And for those of you that are either really close to him or have great passive perception, which Stella does, given she has the highest in the party, you can hear him say, Corbish, I am a professor here at the school. Your friend Hatner, along with others, are looking for you. Where is your location presently? His eyes stay white. And then you can tell by the muscle shifts in his face that he receives an answer pretty quickly. And there's a moment where he listens, and about 15 seconds go by and his eyes return to normal. And he pockets the crumpled paper. Well, the good news is Corbish is still alive. The bad news is he's in a room that, as I had feared, was dangerous. We will require to go retrieve him.
Well, direct us.
Very well. Please follow me.
Thank you.
Takes you down one of the hallways on the right. Goes down about 40 doors or so. Stops in front of one of them. Again, these are all plain doors. There are no markings on them whatsoever. Just white slate gray doors with metal handles on them. And that's all.
I'm
and he'll
picturing that room in the Matrix.
You take the red pill or the blue pill. And he'll point to the door. And he will open it. And inside is a small cubicle of a room. It's literally 5 by 5. There's a long wooden table on it with 2 chairs pushed in. There's a door to the left of that. And in front of composing almost the entire wall except for where that door is a large pane of glass, a window, through which you see a jungle landscape. Tall, curved palm trees, thick, lush greenery, and these large reptilian creatures running around wildly. Some of which are killing each other, others of which are flying through the air, some of which are making nests, some of which are swimming through large lakes. And the professor will just simply point to the window and go, your lost child is somewhere in that space.
Okay, thank you. I guess this part we have to do ourselves.
I am forbidden, according to the college rules, to enter into these rooms. In my own hall, I could do without any regard, but the Hall of Conjuration this far is out of my jurisdiction, unfortunately. I can stay here to oversee and offer advice from this room, but nothing further.
That's all I asked for. Thank you. She turns to the group and says, you guys ready?
Ready isn't the word that I would use for this, but
can I just answer with the following? What in the fresh hell is this supposed to be? You said this goes to like other places. What is this supposed to be?
Are you actually asking me this question and expecting an answer, or is this rhetorical?
This is not rhetorical. What is this? What is Oh, geez, is this like... He, like, narrows his eyes, stares at this. Oh, man, I'm trying to make the joke about, like, his lizard folk friend and this basically being, like, their ancestor. I wrote the name down here somewhere. This is like Grushik's grandpa or something?
I will explain this in as simple terms as possible. This space was created using powerful conjuration magic to fold space and time inward on itself, creating a pocket dimension that is anchored to the door and points to the door to the left of the table. On the other side of this wall, physically nothing exists. On the other side of that door, however, is a world created by one of the conjuration professors here. It is filled with creatures and wildlife, flora, etc., from a place called Baimasa. It is an island archipelago to the south of here, inhabited by a group of religious warrior zealots. It is filled with creatures that are unique to the islands, and they are large, usually very dangerous reptilian creatures. And he just sort of gestures.
Tyrannosaurus Rex, like, biting to, like, a velociraptor and letting out a roar. Something like that is in the distance.
Yeah, more or less.
Of course, like, I can see that!
And these creatures inhabit those islands to the south.
Yes.
I suppose it's a good thing I sailed right past it then.
Well, the denizens, either immortal or otherwise, are not fond of visitors. And I would recommend not vacationing there. There are creatures much more dangerous there than inhabit this particular conjuration.
Do you know how large this space is?
The space is limited according to the professor's power. However, some of these projects have been worked on for decades. It could be simply the size of a 50 by 50 room, or it could be several miles. This particular project I am not entirely familiar with. Just the location. If you'd like, I can call an expert down from the Hall of Conjuration that might have some more information.
Based
This
on what
is,
we're
after all,
seeing,
an emergency.
might be best for us to go in right away and try to find him.
We also don't want to alert too many people of what we're doing.
Well, the door will be unlocked. All you must do is open and enter through it. I will warn you, the beings on the other side are very real and very dangerous. Not all specimens will attack you, but be warned. Your lives will be in physical danger.
Oh, we understand.
Is getting back as easy?
Yes, there will be a door. It's literally only a matter of reaching it.
All right. Thank you so much, Xavier. We'll be back hopefully quickly. Or as quickly as we possibly can.
Very well. I will be able to interact with at least some of you from this room. If you have a question, I will likely be capable of answering it. Otherwise, may the twins guide you.
But these twins, they're not that good at guiding people.
Or
Wah, wah.
Grunch.
Nah, she knows what he means. She's just like, I'm just messing with you.
Mhm.
Just being a dork.
We're just gonna step in. like pulling out her scimitars just in case.
Mhm.
Estella follows with her little crown in hand.
When the door opens up before you, contrary to what it is like outside, you feel a gust of hot, humid wind strike your face. Beyond are the sounds of buzzing insects, hissing lizards, creatures that roar and screech, and the rushing sound of a river. Somewhere in this very deep, very real, very unusual circumstance of a jungle beneath this school is the child you seek, Corvish. And next week, we're going to see if you can find him. And that's where we're going to end today's session.
Come, Turok.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. No, hang on, copyright strike, stop it. Nah.
Oh.
I forgot you actually can't even make that, you can't even have fun with that. Copyright strikes are everywhere.
Crap.
It wasn't.
That's okay.
Yeah, but that being said, wow. That being said, I've been doing that all day. I spoke to my wife earlier on that long break, and I couldn't hold a conversation to save me. But that being said, thank you all for playing. Thank for those of you that were here to watch. Tune in next week to see how this venture into not Jurassic Park goes. And into the wild world of wizarding, as may or may not be the case for however long they decide to stick around in this district. This could be a whole campaign unto itself. You want to be students next time? That could be a thing.
If I die, I'll come back as a student.
No, guys, I can't go on this adventure. I have a project due.
Guys.
No, I'm going to get fired from my job, guys. I haven't been to work in a week.
Ryder graduated the College of Swords.
Oh, no. You're all
While you were
bards.
studying the blade, I was also studying the blade next to you. Dude, did you not get your blade homework done?
Yeah, shit.
Right. I mean, so that, yeah, we're going to find out about that more next week. We're not. Otherwise, for the remainder of this week, D&D, I play in a game tomorrow. The Stars Are Waiting over on Crack DM's channel. Go check that out on my schedule, or Twitch TV/CrackDM. Or my high-level campaign set in the same world on Friday at 7:30. What is the time zone switch for Pacific Standard? Is it PDT? Yeah, Pacific Daylight Time. That sounds right.
Yeah,
I think
I
so.
believe so, yeah.
Regardless, 7:30 p.m. The schedule will automatically update to whatever region you're in anyway. So go look at that. It's really fun. They're heading into one of my settings' most dangerous, heavy, lore-infested areas ever. It's going to be great, but I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to kill someone, so we're going to find out.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. The area no one's been near ever, so I'm really excited to have people there. Yeah, so that's all a thing. Otherwise, that's it from us. As always, if you can't find yourself, in any other position, make good choices. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.